everyone, welcome back to Heiner Builds Your Ride. Today we have got another Caravan, and these are extremely cool Caravans. They're Explorex. They're probably some of the toughest vans you can get, and they are built right here in Perth. Great company, and we've converted a few of them. This is the latest one, and it turned out really well. But before I show you all the details, let's roll the intro. So on the outside, what we've done, we've upgraded the charge cable. So this is a 6 BNS cable with an Anderson plug now to connect to the vehicle for the upgraded DC-DC chargers. And we have put an Anderson plug for external solar plug-in points here. That is the wiring that we changed going to the A-frame. We've changed a lot more underneath. We put a lot of bash plates underneath this thing to actually protect all the bits like the plumbing and the electrics, even for the parts that we haven't installed, because the guy who is taking this off-road is quite serious about it, and this is gonna get a beating when it's out in the bush. So what we've done here is we've added a bash plate here to protect cables, gas lines, and some of the plumbing connections. So we fabricated this and added that in here, and then if you have a look here, all this stuff, we added these bash plates as well. It's just to protect everything from stones that flick up when you drive on corrugated roads with a lot of big rocks. They just bounce on everything. So these are all 3mm alley plates. They should keep the stones away for quite some time. So we've done all of that to make it a little bit more bush-proof. But now the real beauty, the real treasure of what we've done here is on the inside. This was already fitted out with a fairly decent system. It had a 300 amp hour lithium battery and a Red Arc Manager 30 for charging. But that wasn't enough. We wanted something decent. We wanted to be able to run the aircon the whole night long. There's a solar system already installed on the roof. We didn't touch that. The customer wanted to be able to run all the 240 volt appliances, even in off-grid situations. And what we've done, I'll show you this later. What we've done is we took the battery that was installed under the seats, and we also took the charger that was installed on top of the fridge out. And we've relocated all the wiring under the bed here. This is the power system that we've installed. What we've got is, we have got 3 200 amp hour batteries. We've actually made custom hold downs for these. This is usually where the grip handles go. So we've made little adapter brackets, and that way we can attach J-hooks to the batteries, which actually makes for a really nice and really clean installation. Then we have looped these batteries together, as you can see, and we take power from the center battery. The idea behind that is you do not want to overload the bridging cable. So if you would actually take the power from this last battery and you do a bridge and another bridge, then this bridge here has to cope with the power of both batteries. The way we've done it now is that this battery bridges here, this battery bridges here, and we take the power directly from here. So these bridging cables only have to cope with the power of one battery. From here, we go into our twin A&L fuse holder on the positive, and we go onto the shunt on the negative. That is what we call our primary power distribution. From there, we've got one really big output fuse running to the inverter. This is a 3 kVA Victron Multiplus inverter. So it's an inverter that we have integrated into the 240 volt system of the Caravan. So it's connected to the external plug-in point, and it feeds back to the RCD where the external plug-in point was connected to previously. So as soon as this is on, everything gets supplied with 240 volt power right from this inverter. And as soon as you plug the external 240 volt in, the 240 volt gets pushed through, because this has an inbuilt transfer switch. So it transfers the external 240 to the internal 240, and then this turns into a battery charger, and it charges these batteries with around 110 amp. So it's a fairly decent recharge even for a big battery bank like this. Then further from that, we have got a 7-bay MIDI fuse holder here. As you can see, we've got it all labeled. This is where all the chargers and everything else connects to. So we've got the DC-DC chargers, the roof solar, the A-frame solar, the interface, which is the power supply to the whole van for the DC system, and the Cerbo GX, which is this little guy here. This is the brain of the whole mission. So this is connected to a Touch 50 panel, which is in the interface control area. And all the chargers and the Multiplus are connected to it. And you can control the Multiplus from the touch screen. For charging, we have got a 30 amp controller for the roof solar system. And then we've got a 50 amp controller for 2 solar blankets that can be plugged into the A-frame. This should give a really, really big recharge capability once you plug all the solar panels in and you park in the shade. And then once you're driving, we've got 2 of the Orion-TR smart DC-DC chargers connected to the A-frame input. The way we're actually hooking these up is that we have got a solenoid in the tow vehicle. That solenoid turns on and off with the engine run signal. So as soon as that turns on, it gives power to the DC-DC charger through the Anderson plug on the A-frame. And then these are actually ignition triggered. So it looks like as soon as the power supply turns on, these get an ignition signal. They completely bypass their voltage sensing settings and just go flat out and charge as much and as heavy as they can. That way we overcome voltage drop issues to Caravans. And since these are quite iffy when it comes to overheating, what we always do, and we do the same for the solar regulators, we actually mount them on an extra heat sink made out of 3mm aluminum. And then we also put vents in. So we've got a vent on the side here and another vent on the side here. So this whole compartment is actually vented and does not overheat that quickly. That is basically it for in here. So this system should enable the customer to easily run the aircon throughout the night. And then with all the solar power, he is able to recharge the battery bank throughout the day, even with the fridge running. What he's got here, he has got a Dometic upright compressor fridge. So this Dometic upright compressor fridge runs off the batteries as well. As you can see here, this is the central of everything. At the moment we have got, as you can see here, we've got shore power connected, and the batteries are actually not charging, but the inverter and the charger in the inverter is now supplying the DC system of the van, which is the lights that we've got on at the moment. So nothing comes in and out of the battery. Everything is being supplied directly by the charger. If we would have some sun on the van, you would be able to see all the solar charging that's happening, the wattage of the solar chargers directly on here. It actually combines both chargers, so you just get one figure. And if we would turn some 240 volt stuff on, you would see that the AC loads. So to demonstrate this, I'll turn an AC load on. This has got one electric hot plate in here. Let's turn that on, and you will be able to see on the screen that we have actually got an AC load connected now. See how this is coming up? So now we are actually drawing power into the AC system of the van, and you can see that popping up here on the screen. But you can also see that all the power is coming from shore at the moment. If I would disconnect the external power supply, you will see that that drops away, and then the power will be coming out of the battery. So now you can see that we have not got any shore power connected anymore, and our inverter charger has actually turned into an inverter again. And you can also see that now all the power is coming out of the batteries, flowing into the inverter, supplying our 215 watt. And if I crank this up, you will see how the load cranks up here as well. So now we are actually drawing 1000 watts roughly into the hot plate there, which is a current of 88 amps coming out of the batteries, which is 1172 watts on the DC side. And you see the difference in between the DC and the AC. Those are the losses that we get in the cables, in the conversion process of the inverter, and so on and so forth. Better turn it off, it's starting to get hot. Let's see if that works. It's actually quite a warm day today, so we can crank the aircon to a nice 20 degrees. So this will run for a little bit now, and then you will hear it kicking in, and then we will be able to see the load of the aircon on the panel here. So it's ramping up. These things slowly turn on, and we can already feel cold air coming out. You can see how the AC is now slowly ramping up. They usually draw about 60 to 70 amps. And once you got the whole van cooled down, they run on 50% duty cycle roughly. Oh yeah, it's getting nice and cold in here. It will definitely change a lot of things once you're out and about, and you can use the aircon, cool the van down in the evening, and actually go to bed not sweating. Very nice. So then you can see now, if you monitor the screen again, that if I plug the external power supply back in, it will take about 20 seconds once the supply is connected, where the inverter charger checks if the power supply is stable. Once it's stable, it switches over to external power supply again. It starts to charge the batteries and pushes the 240 volts straight through from the external supply. So I'm going to plug that back in. So at the moment, everything's still running off the inverter. Now you could hear a click. This has gone into bulk charge, and you will see now we're importing 2,800 watt externally, because we are pumping 106 amps into the battery while the external supply is also supplying 1000 watt to the aircon. So the batteries are gonna be full in no time again. And it's interesting, if you have a look, you can actually limit the shore power input as well. So if you're dealing with a limited power supply, let's say we've only got 8 amps because we're using a 2000 watt generator, we can say we can only import 8 amps. This changes, and you can see how it now changes what it's drawing in externally. So we're now below 2000 watt. See, now it's only 1700 and a little bit watt coming in from shore power, so that would not stall your generator. It's reduced the charge current into the battery while still supplying full 1070 watt to the aircon. This is the beautiful thing about these inverter chargers. They can actually manage how your AC system works, and they can mix in between external power coming in and in between power that is used internally. So I'll now show you what happens if I reduce this even further. Let's say we're only dealing with a 4 amp external source. So you see, it limits everything even further, and it's going into an assisting mode. That means now we're only getting 800 watt from shore power and another 32 amp converted to 240 volt to assist the aircon with its 1200 watt. That is called the power assist mode. Means when you're dealing with a limited shore power supply, then it will actually assist from the batteries, and as soon as that peak load goes away, I'll show you by turning the aircon off. You see the AC load dropping away soon, once this thing has finished. And then you will see that the current here will slowly decline with the aircon actually stopping. And this will change from assisting into bulk charge mode again. See, now we're going to bulk charge, and now this figure has become positive again, and we are charging the batteries again because the AC loads have dropped away. In my opinion, this is the best 240 volt system that you can install into caravans and off-grid setups, because it gives you all the opportunities to mix and match your energy sources, which when you are fully self-sustained somewhere is extremely important. So I'm gonna ramp this back up to 15 amp because that's the maximum we can import. And that will give us full charge power. 111.4 amps going into the batteries means those batteries are gonna be charged like that. That really only leaves one thing to do for us, our patch of approval. This bed and everything that's connected to it is now ready to drive anywhere. Thanks, and see you for the next one.